Middle East, where people suffer so much. Hail Mary, full of grace, the Lord is with thee. Blessed art thou among women, and blessed is the fruit of thy womb, Jesus. Holy Mary, Mother of God, pray for us sinners, now and the hour of our death. Amen. Mary, seat of wisdom, pray for us. In the name of the Father, and of the Son, and of the Holy Spirit. Amen. So this morning we will work on the subject that is central in socialetics, is the problem of property. And I suggest you to read two texts. They are very good. They give you the essential of the teaching of the church in regard of that. Social agenda, especially 2005, 2008, 9, and a compendium of the teaching of the Catholic Church on sociality, 71 to 84. The title is The Universal Destination of Goods, especially 177 and 178, because it is directly on property, on the problem of property. Okay? So we can ask why we study property in the class of sociality. You remember what is the virtue of justice? To give each one is due. Is due. If it is due, I owe. Once I owe. So, in fact, if I have a duty for someone, the other have a right. He possesses something. Is the honor of a right, of something, you know. So justice, in fact, is related to property. In fact, I will say the central problem in social justice is the problem of property. How man can possess material things? He is the absolute master of material things, or must he be in relation with others, or is the state to control everything? You know, that in fact when we study capitalism, we study Marxism, we study personalism, all that is about property. So property is really a central question in sociality. And we have two classes on that. The first today, and next class we will study the foundation, the title to property. It is very, very important. No? And if you look at the text here, many paragraphs are consecrated to that issue. In fact, many wars in the world were provoked by property. Even today, in 2015, you have a concrete example of that. Ukraine. Russia wants to take a part of Ukraine. And last year they took Crimea, you know. That many times the fight between countries are to possess a land, or to possess petroleum, or to possess a mine of gold, of cobalt. You know, the war in East Congo, one of the reasons that in fact it is a war between the Chinese and other countries, because they possess there a very rare component of chips. For computer, or for internet, and it is very rare on Earth, very rare, and they have that there, and now they fight. You know, in fact, we fight for a reason. No, we saw that. We do everything for a reason, and most of the time the reason is to possess something, to control something. It can be thing, it can be person. Think about the problem of slavery. It was a problem of possession. You know. So property is very central, very important. Property is the object of the virtue of justice. In fact, when we speak about property, we have to speak about justice. The virtue controlling the power of property and the usage of property is the virtue of justice. Giving to everyone what is due. Giving to me what is mine, but I am the owner of that. I respect my property, I will respect your property. Property is not only material. property can be also immaterial. For example, your reputation. Your reputation is your property. You possess a reputation. So you have a right to be protected in your reputation. Or you make an invention. You have a genius. You invented something. So you have a right. We call that today copyright. You have a right. You have the honor of the invention. How can you control the invention? I give you an example. A pharmaceutical company discover, for example, a new product. And they don't want to communicate. That product can save maybe millions of people. But they want to keep that for themselves to make more money, That is a problem of property. Conflict between private property and common good. That is the center of ethics. Social ethics is here. So that is not a waste of time to study what is property and what are the titles and the reason why we can possess. A person can possess, a country can possess, etc. Okay? So, in fact, property is linked to our human nature. Why? Because to survive, we must possess something. We must possess a land to cultivate. We must possess tools to cultivate. So we must possess. So in fact, the right to property is linked to the right to survive, to the survival of people. And animals are the same thing, but for them it is an instinct, an instinct. But for us, we have that instinct, but we are reasonable. So we know we can put limits to that, instinct of property. In fact, it is a kind of is a means to continue to live. I cannot live if I don't have some food, no? And that food, it must be mine. I cannot take the food of the other with his permission, That is central. It is a real central problem. Okay. And you look at the economy. The central economy is property. Who is the owner of the means of production? Is the state or is the private company? The bank, for example, the road. So all that is linked with property. Okay? So property, the necessity to live leads to my own, my property, my goods, my land, my garden, my apples, my harvest, it is normal. But what is not normal when that my becomes the center of everything, In fact, here we touch a problem we will speak about in the future, the problem of self-interest. Self-interest, because when I want to possess, it is for myself first. I have to live, I have to eat every day, I have to sleep, I have to drink. The problem of water, for example, is becoming very crucial. And some places there are no more water, and they fight for water. And some scholars say maybe in 100 years, 200 years, the big problem will not be petroleum, will be water. The fight to have water. Because water is a big problem for many countries. Of course, here we have plenty of snow. We have no problem. Snow is a blessing for a blessing of God. We don't realize that. We have water. Imagine those who don't have water, it rains maybe 5 millimeters a year. It's nothing. Here we have many inches. Okay. So, in fact, man has an instinct of property. It is in the end. It is in my nature to possess. For example, my wife, my husband, my children, my home, my car. If suppose we cannot say that, Plato he preferred to say our wife, our children. Republic number 5. Read that. It's interesting. Republic number 5, book 5. No, my. So what is property? What is ownership? Ownership imply two things. First, that is a reason to a certain person. A person, it is what is reserved to it is a thing or a a material reality reserved to a certain precise person. That is the first aspect. It is mine, don't touch my doll. My doll. My grandfather gave me a doll at Christmas, so you don't touch my doll. I have 6 sisters. Everyone must respect the good of the other, no? Is that not the same? When you were kids, we collected, imagine we were collected package of cigarettes on the street. You know, at that time, hygiene was not a big problem. We were never sick. So everyone collected, because when we have a certain number of packages of cigarettes, we were able to have some kind of baseball for player, for example. So that is my collection. Don't touch my collection. You know? It is instinctive. Right? Okay, so it is a reserve. Secondly, others are excluded from that. So when I have a right, the other must respect my right. So therefore, they are not the owner of my thing. Okay. So you see, you have the verb to owe, to own, to possess, and in to possess, you have the idea of when you have to own comes from the verb to owe, and to owe implies the idea of duty. Duty. That means I possess, and you must respect my good, what I possess. Okay. Secondly, the subject honor and honor. Or is the human product. Only a human being can possess. A dog cannot have a bank account. You know, some people, that is an invention. Some people, rich people, they give their wealth to their dog. A dog cannot have a right on the inheritance. It must be intelligent. The owner must be intelligent. Okay? And a right, the ownership. So you have to work to own, honor, and ownership. So the object, the thing owned, are said to belong to someone. So the verb, that belongs to me. That belongs to me. So in fact, in our language, we express our possession when we say that is my belongings, belongs to me. That is my, you know, mind your business. Mind your business. That means each one must respect his own possession, his own territory, etc. In Latin, proper, opposed to common. You have common, and you have what is proper. In fact, in liturgy, we have that. The proper for the time of Christmas, or the time of Lent, and the common time of the rest of the year, you know, auxiliary time. So, but how we can define? Furthermore, Fagotti gives you a definition of ownership. He gives you 5 characteristics to have ownership. First, an ownership is a right. And because it is a right, it implies duties for others, you know. So I have a right to possess, and the other, by the same, has a duty to respect that right. Secondly, it is exclusive. It is exclusive disposal. That means depend on the will of the owner. The owner has the power, freedom, to exercise the way he will use what he possesses. That is the problem here. Where up? What is the limit of that exclusivity? We ask that here. What is the limit of the exclusivity? For example, if people are dying, they have nothing to eat, nothing to drink, and you have plenty of food, plenty of water. That water is for the destination of everyone, not only for you. So that there is limit, we see that soon, the limit. Exclusive, but at the same time not absolutely exclusive. And another characteristic, it is the control. The control. You can control and dispose, control and disposal. It's better to put that here. Control. He can give he can give, he can exchange, etc. Doing anything possible, he can keep it, he can abandon that, he can sell it, etc. Okay, he can destroy it also. Sometimes you see some movies, cartoon, but also a real movie, and some rich people, to show that they are very rich, what they do? They take a bill of $100, they put that on the candle, and they light a cigar. They destroy their good. But why? Because they have the power to use that. What we can say, is it moral to do that? For me, it's immoral. Because if they can give that to those who need, no? Okay, it's only by pride to show that they are rich. Okay, and that right is limited, of course. We speak of, we'll see that. What are the limits of the right to possess? Well, what are the limits? It is limited. The control is limited. Is not absolute. Is limited by the right, by an higher right. Natural law, for example. The law of God. The law of God. For example, a man cannot put his possession at the place of God. He cannot say, my God is my money. Mammon. God or mammon. You see that in the gospel. Higher. It is limited by the right of others. For example, you have the right to possess a good. The other have the right to survive. So if what you have is enough for you and the other are dying, so you have the right of others limit your right. And the right of life is superior to the right of possession. So, when I was about 10 years old, I remember we have a movie. In my time to have a movie was a great heaven. The movie was given in the basement of our parochial church. And the title was Trent. I remember that clearly. It was made with Trent, with block of ice. Because the story took place in Yukon. And in the story you have a man, a prospector, who spent many years to have gold. And he lives with his gold. He cannot, his gold is in his belt. Because, if he put his gold there, other will take it. So he has his gold on him. And now he is canoeing, and suddenly he enters a rapids, and he capsized down, and he is in the bottom of the river. And the movie is very interesting. He has to make a choice. But because gold is very heavy, Yes. So what is the choice? To detach his belt, to let the gold at the bottom, and to save his life. That's a good example to see that possession has limit. Possession, good, material good, has limit. You have a choice. Either you keep your money, your gold, and you die, or you detach from money and you survive. I was 10 years old, I see the picture of the screen, I see that. That struck me, because it is central. What is the destination? The question, what is the destination? Okay. Another limit is the love of others. Or if you want, charity. Charity can limit my possession. That means I have to open my wallet to help those who are in need. And finally, another is the civil law. So they are limit to possession. So I have the control, I can dispose, but in the limitation here. So that is interesting. Property is not an absolute right. And for some capitalists, property is an absolute right. Okay, we'll see that. I don't see for everyone. Now, another for other thing. is a control possession over thing, not over person. And when we say thing, we include animal. That means all thing, all reality, non-intelligent, not free. Is the right, for example, for a man to possess many cows, the cowboy, many sheep, the shepherd, you know, it's a right. And if you take one sheep, you steal. You destroy a part of the property of the other. And finally, 5, at will. At will. That means in my own name, in his own name. And it is so true that it is the name we use when somebody wants to give all his wealth to someone after his death. We call that a will. A will. So the will is not only after death, it's also even when we live. So are the characteristic of so the right is it can be transferred to an agent. I can, for example, give my money to a company, an agent, and they say, okay, use it the best you can and give me. It is what many people do because they are not all the time on Wall Street, on stock exchange, and spend all the day to watch. No, they trust. They trust. In fact, it's interesting. Economy is based on trust. We trust others. So we say, okay, my money, take my money and give me the benefit, the profit, the interest of that. So the property is which is own, which is owned, and over which other have no direct control, except in extreme case. Okay. So we have here the element of but be careful, not everything can become a property. For example, normally in a country, nobody possesses a river. It is so true, and France, they have a very wise law. I think French, they have a very wise law in regard of the property of river, on the river. Nobody in France possesses the bank of the river, or the side of the sea, or the ocean. All river and all the shore of the ocean belong to the state. So nobody can say, don't pass, don't use my beach. And there is another reason also, very, very wise, because you know, who is responsible of the good maintenance of nature? It is the state. So if you put many things on the river, I have a friend in France, he decided to build how do you say, a cave in French, where the boat attach, a wharf, a wharf, not a dwarf, a wharf, a wharf. And he did that, and immediately the government came, he said, no, you have not right, you have must permission, because when you do that, you change the current, and we can destroy the bank, you know. So you know, that is very wise. So the property, in fact, is always submitted to the common good. Indeed, the problem is there. What is the limit of the control of the common good over private property? That is the question. So someone, for example, capitalists, they say, the less control is the best. People, socialists, they say, no, the more the state control, that is the best, you know. The problem is here. It's a very central problem. Property is a central problem. Okay. I go now to the kind of property. Well, you have public property and private property. Well, that is not very difficult to understand that. Public property belongs to the state, but belonging to the state belongs also to all citizens, but not to one citizen in particular. And the private property can be, we can possess, it can be a physical person, Mr. John Smith, for example. It can be an organization, for example, the Diocese of Santa Fe, or the Seminary of the Holy Apostle, or the Congregation of the Sister of the Holy Cross. That is a private property. But we must make some nuance when we speak about property. And those who are in congregation, they know that. The difference between the use of the property, the fruit of the property, the fruit, and the thing itself. Some congregation, for example, I would simple vow. They keep the thing. They keep that. They continue to, for example, a sister or a brother in the congregation with simple vow, he received a leg, inheritance from his father. Suppose $2 million. The $2 million don't go to the community. They go to him. He has the possession of $2 million. That is not the case of others. The Jesuits, the Dominican, they don't have that. I speak about simple voix. But the sister or the brother cannot use that money, or cannot benefit of the fruit of that money, that the interest of that money, without the permission of the superior. That is the vow of poverty for a congregation with simple vow. Probably is the majority of you is it. But if you are a Jesuit, a Franciscan, if you receive something, everything must go to the community. You know, here you see the difference between the use, the fruit, and the thing. So I can possess something, but I can sometimes not able to be use it. I give you an example. I have one of my, when I was teaching in Cameroon, we have a lay missionary come with us. And when he was, I think, 13, 12, his parents died in a plane accident. The plane crashed and they died. And they give a huge inheritance, huge. But he was not able to use that and to take the fruit of that before 18 years old. At 18 years old, he was called. He did not know that. He thought that. I said, I did not know. My parents gave me that. He received a call. He said, no, your parents, now, we gave that. You can use it. He was not able. So the difference between to possess and to use. And that distinction is important because sometimes we can use the good of another without possessing it. For example, it's the case of when you rent a car. When you rent a car, you have the thing, the car, but the car does not belong to you. But you have the use of the car. Even you can benefit. Suppose you rent a car, you rent a little van, and during the day you have people to manage to another place. So not only you use the truck, but also you make money. But you don't possess. It is the same thing for land. I have my uncle where I was going, I went every year when I was young for the summer. When he became old, he was not able to take care of all his land. So what he did, he rented his land. So they gave him a regular amount of money, but the people, without possessing the land, they use it and they benefit of that. It was the system of the Middle Age, we call servage. In fact, in the Middle Age, that was that system. The landlord was responsible for the security of the people of a certain region. And the land was cultivated by peasants. Those peasants, they used the land. They used the fruit of the land to feed their children. Of course, they gave a part to the Lord. but they were not the owner of the land, you know. So that was the system of the Middle Age. That is, and we can use something without possessing it. We can use the thing of another, but of course, if I use the thing of another, I must have a title to do that, a reason to do that. I cannot take your car and use it for make taxi for during the day. You know, I need money, so I take the car of the parish priest, and at the end, no, I must have a reason. Either I rent it, or he say, okay, you will give me 20% of the benefit you do. You know, there is an agreement. Okay. So the difference between the use, the fruit of the thing, and the thing itself. Now, the property as a sustenance, as something necessary to survive. Not only to survive. St. Thomas, it says somewhere that, you know, to practice a minimum of comfort is necessary to practice virtue. A minimum of comfort. That means if we are already in very, very great difficulty, sometimes it's more difficult to practice, for example, justice. We are inclined to take other, we are inclined to use drug, to steal drug. You know, where is the commerce of the trade of drug? It is most of the time with poor people. Because they need money, and because they need money, they use every need to find money. So it is normal that property assure two things. Assure your survival first, assure also a level of comfort. Because having a living of comfort, people send their children to school, they can be cultivated, they can have some leisure, take vacation, they don't work 6 days every week, no, they have time to read, to go to university, etc. So the end, what is the end? Here, excuse me, man has right to take for his use personal needs to survive and to have a comfortable life. But what is the end of that possession? What is the limit of that possession? No? I said, about 3 years ago, there was a program on television. They interviewed the 10 richest people in the United States. The 10 richest people. And one of them was a couple. And they asked them, what percentage of your fortune you give to the poor? And they said 2%. Someone before they give 50%. They give 2%. And the journalists asked them, you know, why do you accumulate like that? And you know what the answer? Because we have to prepare our retreat, to prepare the future. And she said, you're not afraid of the justice of God? You are Christian? Oh yes, we are Christian. Do you believe in? Oh yes, we believe. You're not afraid? Oh no, God is infinitely merciful. What is the limit? What is the limit? If you go to some place in San Francisco or Los Angeles, San Diego, or in France, for example, Antibes, you have huge yacht. Each yacht costs millions and millions of dollars, only for 1 or 2 persons. And not far from there, they have soup kitchen. You know, what is the limit of possessing material goods? Okay, so material goods are naturally fitted. That means the right to possess is a natural right. That is an affirmation of the common sense of Aristotle, St. Thomas, but it's the affirmation of the church. It is a natural right. Property, ownership is not a right given by the state, by the contractual. It is a right given by nature. It is inscribed. If you are a father, you have a mother, you have children, you have to take care of them. Even if you are alone, bachelor, you have to save your life. You have to feed, you have to continue to survive. So, therefore, you have the right to possess something. Okay? So, in fact, man has a right to a lot of things. We have a right to air. who breathe air, we have a right. And if somebody polluted the air, he is destroying our property, no? We have a right to pure water. If company threw in the river acid, sulfur acid, but they destroy our water, you know. So we must be aware. In fact, man has the right to use what we say sometimes the chain of food, because finally, what is the summit of creation is man. Today in the gospel, in the first reading, we see men and women, because man was alone. So God gave him a wonderful companion. He called them women, but from the rib. I never check if I have one rib less than. You know, my teacher, when I study, it's a long time ago, 67, 68, Genesis, he said, in Hebrew, rib, the word, it says T-I, means ribs, but also means life.
Oh.
It's a change completely the meaning. God took the life of Adam, and so the women come from the life, not from the rib. But the translation is the same thing for the Muslim, you know. They promise that when they die martyr, they have 72 virgin. Oh. I don't know how they can find that, but 72 virgin for every martyr. And next ages, a German, we cannot give his name because he would be executed, because it is forbidden to make the exegesis of the Quran. But he made, as a scholar, and he said it's not 72 virgin, it is 72 grapes. A raisin, grape. So it will be very deceived when you arrive with 72 grapes instead of 72 virgin. So okay, you understand, huh? The translation, you know, is the same for us. When we translate, sometimes we change the meaning because we don't understand exactly the word they are there. We call that hermeneutic. When you study the Bible, you should have a class of hermeneutic to situate the text in the time. What is the meaning of it, etc. Okay, I close the parenthesis. Is about. So man is the self-provider. Self-provider. Man is self-providence. Provider. Providence. When we study philosophy of God, we study God is providence. But God gave man an intellect to share in his providence. So man has to prepare the future. And to prepare the future, he needs some tools. He needs some land. He needs to possess something. To possess something. Okay? So he has a right to the use of necessary means. Why? Because in fact man is the responsible. He has the dominion, he received the dominion. And the more dominion is interesting, come from the Latin domus. Like economy, come from oikos in Greek, noma, in cos nome, nome. Oikos means house, home, and domus means house and home. Interesting, you know, dominion, economy. Then as he is the bursar of creation. He's the one who wants to run creation. So he must have the means for that. The means for that. Okay? But never forget that a means is not an end. A means is for an end. That means if you possess property, cannot be an end in itself. It can be a relative end. For example, I work to buy a truck or tractor because I need a tractor. But my tractor is not only to contemplate, oh, beautiful tractor. No, it's to use it to produce something for me and for others. You know? So in fact, property is not an end. And I will say the social sin is to make money the end. in my country, in 1964-65, we have a government who wanted to foster, to help students, encourage students to go to higher studies. And they make big sign on the road. I remember the huge sign. It was, I say in French first, s'instruire, c'est s'enrichir. To become learned is to become rich. Rich intellectually, okay. But if the goal of studying is to become rich materially, I don't agree with that. But I think the majority of people, they think about their wallet. They do not think about their mind. That means you reduce education. The goal is not, the truth is to make money. And that is true, so true, that sometimes children are inclined to go to the place where they have, they know they will make money. So we have to be aware all the time. If I have a beautiful pen, it's not to contemplate the pen. No, it's to use it. Things are at our usage. We have to use them. Okay. Next page. Next paragraph. Now, if I deny property, if I destroy property, we call that a theft. Theft. Thieves. You know, the violation of property. And I told that at the beginning of the class, sometimes it is the cause of wars. The cause of difficulty in family. How many families are divided because of money, no? How many they are divided because when the father died, and now they fight one again to have war or less, you know? And many, many families are destroyed by that. Yes. So the unjust, what is a theft? It is the unjust taking of the necessary mean of others. That necessary mean. That means someone has need money to buy food for his children. I take his money. That is unjust. In fact, I make that is interesting. I make the other a slave. What is a slave? It's someone who works without being paid, no? And when I took the money from another, that money was acquired through work, but I deprive him from the fruit of his work, so I make him like a slave. That means you, you work for me. I have your money. You work? No, I take your money. It was the big problem, all the history of the world, the fight against the nomade and the sedentary. The sedentary, they were attached to their land, they cultivate their land, they have houses, they have orchards, they have sheep, etc. And the nomads, they are going everywhere. In fact, most of the time, the nomads are the warriors. They are aggressive, and the sedentary are quiet. We have that the history of Canada. When the first French arrived, they discovered there were fight between them. Why? Because the Huron were peaceful, were sedentary. They were happy with their little garden. They were happy with that. But the Iroquois, they were nomad. They were hunter. They were hunter. So they not only they hunted game, deer or fox, I don't know. They hunted also the good of others. It was the war. And what is interesting, the French were on the side of the Huron, and the British were on the side of the Iroquois. That is the history of New England. All the problem between Canada and New England is based on that. So the British sustained the nomads, the Iroquois, and the French sustained the Huron. War, many times, is caused by money. And one of the reasons that the war is between France and Great Britain and Canada, it was to have the control of of the fur trade. He said it is so true that Great Britain took 2 times, invaded 2 times Canada, and gave that to France. On condition they have the right to trade fur in Hudson Bay. You know, interesting. Money. Money. And you know, we are not only, when we went to Iraq, on those countries, why we were there? Only because we want to install democracy. Because oil. We must not be naive. Possession. Possession. Okay. Not only money, oil is money, no? Okay. So the conflict is, yes, brother.
One question concerning the theory of iron law of wages of David Ricardo and Adam Smith. They said that you should, because of the social justice, or I mean social improvement, you should only keep the wages barely enough for the worker to feed their children.
Yeah,
so
exactly.
How should you answer that? Because they say if you pay more, they're gonna have more children.
We will come back on that because we have a chapter on the work and just wages. Okay.
Okay.
But in fact, that's an interesting question. When the owner of company does not give a right salary, a just salary, he is a thief. Huh?
That's it. Yeah.
He put his money, what should go to the
worker.
The worker. So you know the company Costco. You know Costco.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Huh? You know Walmart.
Yeah.
What is the difference between the two? In one, the employee, everyone is member of the company. So when they have a benefit, the employer take bid, and even the client, you pay less. But Walmart, minimum wage, huh? Minimum security, you know. 2 kind, we will come back on that, okay? It's a sign that you do not sleep. And you are intelligent because we can laugh. You too. Okay, I continue. So, in fact, the conflict, what is that here? Is the conflict between the one who possesses and the one who wants to take possession without a right, without a title. We cannot, of course, I can take the car of another if I buy it, you know. But if the car without buying, that is a theft. It's the same action. Huh? I take the car, but one I have a right, the other I have no right. Huh? So in fact, it is a. But what is the most important conflict? It is when the conflict it is between property and life. Property and life. People are dying, and we don't give anything to save them, you know. Okay, life and property. Okay. So the principle is natural right cannot be contradictory. I mean, to possess is a natural right. To survive is a natural right. But you know, there is a hierarchy in rights. I have my mother, for example, has a right that I am grateful to her. That's the right. But her right to life is superior to the right to be loved by her children. No? She cannot go in court, you know, my children, they don't say thank you to me. No. But I can go to court, he say, my children don't help me to survive, I have nothing, they don't want to, you know. She can defend a superior right. So the right of life is superior to the right of possession. That is very important. Because if you accept that, you will accept after that the necessity of an authority to control possession. That authority can be the state, can be the church, can be God, can be something, natural law. You accept an authority, okay? Now, the economic system. When we speak about property, immediately we speak about economy, and we speak about the different system of economy. Because when we say economy, we say possession, we say property. Even when the Marxists, even in North Korea, they have property, but the property is by the state, by the superior of the state, the king, you know. So the property is an economic fact. It's the central fact of economy is property. Before production. Because we cannot produce if we don't possess some tool, no? I cannot produce. So that the problem of property is really central in social justice. Huh? Okay, so we have the primitive collectivism, who everything belongs to everything. Well, that is the old age. It's not our time. Huh? But we have the system of private property. Huh? Well, the private property can be, you know, the problem is not the fact of private property. The problem is the foundation of private property. Huh? All the time, since about 3 weeks, we see that continually. We have to make a choice. Is the foundation natural law or the nature of man? Huh? Finally is gone, or it is the contract, the will of man, you know. So the foundation of property, the private property, well, it can be totally individual, huh? And we have the system called capitalistic system, totally individual, with a little control of the state, and the least is the best. And on the other side, on the contrary, you have the more the state control, that is the best. We have the socialism and communism. So we have two kinds. In fact, we have like a rainbow, huh? From the total independence from the state to the total dependence from the state. And economy, property is in that, depending on the system of the government of your country or where you live. Huh? Okay. Well, if you go to 205, 209, you will see, huh? They will speak here in the social agenda 205, 209 about the different kind of system of property. So, go to number 206. 206, the social agenda, 206. I will read only the beginning, because it is something comforting me in what I said for 40 years, 50 years. Accordingly, twin rocks of shipwreck must be carefully avoided. One is wrecked upon or comes close to that what is known as individualism. What is that individualism? In economy, we call that capitalism. By denying or minimizing the social and public character of the right of property. So we insist on the private right, but we minimize or we suppress as possible the public character of the right of property. But the other, collectivism, is the other rock. By rejecting, minimizing the private property, insisting on the common control of the property. So we have the two tendencies. And the problem is about property. So when we speak about communism, we speak about capitalism, we speak about personalism, finally we speak about property. So property is really central. Huh? Well, so we have how we can make the foundation of the private ownership of wealth. What is the reason I can accept that everybody can be the maybe, not that they can be, maybe the owner of his wealth? Well, the first, it is those who say is based on convention. Huh? We come back all the time to Hobbes and Rousseau. Huh? Hobbes and Rousseau. And what is their conception of the state? It is a contract, social contract. Therefore, property will depend on a social contract, a social contract. Okay? But it is in that theory of Rousseau and we put our will in the end of the state. You know? So normally, we should be able to change the state, you know. If we are not happy, we can, that is the system, democracy system, we can vote and change the government. Huh? We can change, not the system itself, we can also change the constitution. Huh? Okay? So the state could state all, you know, it's interesting, that system, which is based capitalism also, favor private property. But you give, in fact, if you are attentive, you give to that system the possibility to suppress private property. Why? Because you give your will to someone, and there's someone now have the power to do what they want, no? And we have a good example of that, you know? Hitler. Hitler was elected democratically. He was the expression of the general will. And what he did for the Jews, for example, he took their property. Not only their property, their life. Democratically. He was elected by the majority of the people. That is the danger of that system. Because when someone is elected, sometimes he does not do exactly what he promised. No? We see that in many countries. Huh? They change their mind. An example of that is Fidel Castro. Fidel Castro, at the beginning, seemed to be a member of the Catholic Action, Catholic Youth. And when he was at the power, he said, no, I am a Marxist. Okay? Okay, the tenant, who are the tenants of that theory that everyone must be the most independent from the state? Huh? They are, we call the legal positivists. Huh? Moral and legal positivists. What meaning of that? That means they separate legality from morality. No? It is a very powerful current. In fact, we see positivists because they are in the line of positivism. That means there is no superior reality than matter. You know? So they separate legality from morality. In that current, we have utilitarianism, pragmatism, and relativism. That is linked with that. There is, you know, the ideal will be to have no control from the state. To do what I want with my money. In fact, it is what we live in the United States. Huh? The rich try to pay the less. You know? They want to control their money. They don't want the government tax them, control them. You know? Okay. The other current was proposed by, founded on the Jus Gentium. You remember the Jus Gentium, huh? The law of the nation, formulated by the Roman from the usage and from the custom of many countries. They have a general law. And it is the foundation preferred by St. Thomas. For St. Thomas, the foundation of ownership is not natural law. It's surprising. Huh? For St. Thomas, the foundation is the Jus Gentium. That means it's a mixture of a contract and mixture of nature. It's not totally. You know, St. Thomas was opposed to interest. Huh? For him, the interest was immoral. Because it mattered producing something, it was artificial, like artificial bird today. Huh? And in fact, who is the one one of the one who defended the right to interest? You know him? He's a Franciscan. Funny, Franciscan favor the interest, Saint Bernardine of Siena. Huh? Saint Bernardine of Siena. It's and Saint Bernardine, you see, those who possess has the right to be paid when they put their money into something, because their money produce some. So because of that, they have the right to have some interest. But Saint Thomas, like Aristotle, they were opposed to. They called that usury. But in that time, don't forget, the interest was 50%. 50%. Okay. Well, I don't insist on that. I go to those now who say that the foundation is not the convention, is not the jus gentium, it is the natural law. And that is the position the church proposed. I think for me is the best position also. So the foundation, the private property, is in your nature. It is in the natural law. I have the right to possess because I am a human being. Because I am intelligent, because I am free. Because I am free, I am responsible. If I am responsible to others, to my own survival, and for the survival of my wife and my children, I must have the means for that. Therefore, I can possess something to attain my end as a man, as a Christian, etc. That's the foundation, the natural foundation of property. It's not on the state, it's not on the general way of doing things, like a jus gentium. It is natural for a man to have the interest of his work, the benefit of his work. It's natural to prepare. So, private ownership, in fact, answer is founded on the need. We saw that, and the aspiration of human. Aspiration, not only the need, the aspiration. When a young couple marry, maybe they rent an apartment, they are not very rich, but they aspire, they dream to have their own house, that is legitimate. I remember my mother, we rent an apartment because we were in a big apartment, 7 rooms, and finally my mother was a very good bursar. She put aside enough money to buy his own house, her own house, her own bungalow. But I remember when I was young, she aspired to that. It is legitimate to aspire, to possess, to accumulate, not for me, for the common good of my family. It is virtuous, it is prudence, it is providence. When a man or woman do that, when your mother put aside things for the future, they use the intellect God them, and they are sharing in the providence of God. That is a virtue. It is a virtue. To be a good provider of the future, preparing the future, a good bursar in the community is a virtue. Because a bad bursar can cause many problems. We see that in some communities, they went in bankrupt because of the bursar. You have a case in Canada, community, the bursar was not attentive, he made a lot of expenses. He forgot that the wallet was very thin, and he was in bankruptcy. To save them, all the congregation, every member in Canada paid $100 to save them. So that means, economy is linked with justice. The private property is linked with justice and charity. So that is very, very important, not only at the human level, even at the spiritual level. Okay? To be rich is not a sin. To be rich is not a sin. The sin is to keep that for me, and not to use that. Saint Chrysostom, as you say, Chrysostom, he said, the rich are the bursar of the poor. In fact, if I have a mean, is to use for others, for my family, for my neighbor, for the poor, etc. Okay. So what are the reasons? The first reason, why men can possess money, can possess some benefit, because man, when he does something, he put his sweat, his mind in the thing. The carpenter here put his mind in that desk. He put his sweat in that thing. Huh? So I can say a part of the desk here belongs to the carpenter, and he should have something for that, you know. That is a right. When we transform something, you are the author. Huh? It is so true that today we call it copyright, you know, to defend the property. Huh? Okay. So because when we work, here we have a class on the work. Huh? When we work, we put our human reason, our human love, in the thing. The thing is not only a material thing, and that thing here is not only wood, it is the fruit of the work, and of the skillness, and the intelligence, and the will, and the honesty of the carpenter who did that. Okay. Secondly, we have a right also to store money, to store for the future. That means we have the right to capitalize. To capitalize is not a sin, because it is a mean to prepare the future. For that, it is normal if we put money aside, it is to prepare my retreat in the future, or to prepare some enterprise, or to buy a car, or to buy a house, etc., or to pay my insurance, etc. So man is his own providence. Man is his own providence. Okay? Responsibility. Huh? Responsibility. We are free, we are intelligent, we are to prepare the future. To prepare the future, you put aside what we need, that is a little capital, Okay? The third foundation, the third reason, to provide for his family, for those who are under his responsibility. For example, the superior of community must be very attentive to finance. You know, the financial aspect of a common life in community, of a diocese, is very important. Of course, it's not necessary for eternal salvation. It is very, very important role. Of course, it's not always easy to be the person of a community, of a diocese, but we need someone competent to review, not to make more expenses than we can, okay? And not also to use that for his own interest. Okay. So economy means human providence. The economy means human providence. The goal of economy is not to accumulate. The goal of the economy is to prepare the future. The future for tomorrow, but the future for the future generation also. If I destroy the planet, if I destroy the equatorial forest, I prepare a very big problem for my great-great-grandchildren, you know. And they will say, my ancestor was a stupid man. Huh? He thought he was intelligent, but he destroyed nature to make money. Huh? Okay? Another reason, the natural necessity of the division of labor. And the more the family develop, they have to distinguish the responsibility. One will work on the land, another will work on preparing the instrument to work on the land, you know. Another will take care of the horses. We have to divide. And if we divide, we have to use mean to exchange. That means is money. Money. In the time before it was, you give me 2 pounds of butter, I give you a rabbit, you know. Well, that is now, we don't do that now. We use money. But money we can accumulate. We can accumulate, like we can accumulate rice to pass the winter, no? So it's not, you know what is important? Sometimes people say capitalism is wrong in itself. Well, we'll discuss about that. Depends what you want to say. If you say economy as previewing the future is good. But if you say economy without any control, only to make money, that is not. We will study that, 3 weeks for that. And another reason is the profit motive. The motive. You know, we saw the power of the end. If I have no end, I will not act. If I have no motive, I will not act. So it is human. We are not saint. We are human. And we have to be motivated, sometimes motivated by material things. A good salary, a candy. If you do that, if you cut the grass, okay. You want a bicycle? Okay, I will give you a bicycle, but you have to pay the half. So if to pay the half, okay, cut the grass. You know. So we are motivated to have a bicycle, you know, to have something to go there. So that is, it is rooted in our human nature. We cannot suppress the desire to profit, to benefit. Even those who say, I have no, I do that, oh no, I no benefit. I do that for God to have to go to heaven. What is that? A motive? No. No. In fact, we cannot act without a motive. And it is true that the interest, a salary, the success is a motive helping people. Because we are not only angel, we are material. And if that is profit, of course, it is a cause of the human progress. Why we progress? Because we are motivated. That is very, very important. And we cannot deny that the interest is the nerve of economy. We cannot deny that. The capitalists are right. Even communists, I was in Russia in 1972, and talking with the people, I discovered that they have a bank account. I was surprised. I thought they were not. No, they have a bank account. And the proof of that, when the government, communist government, fell down, immediately we have millionaire and billionaire. They have a bank account. We cannot suppress the interest. Or the interest for medal. I went to the village in Russia, in USSR, and there was a big board with picture. The best worker of the month. They work for a motive, no? Okay. And finally, 6, private property favor a solid middle class. You know, the health of a country does not depend on the rich, does not depend on the poor, depend on the middle class. Saint Thomas says, virtus in the middle. So when the country has a solid middle class, that means more and more people can enjoy comfort, security, more and more. What that means? That means the rich does not keep everything for themselves. They share with the other, and they share with the poor. They are less and less poor, and more people in a comfortable. It's not necessary to have a yacht with that costs $2 million to be happy. I am with my family. I am happy. So you know, but it is we need a middle class, and the middle class, you know, is for example, in a congregation. I give only a congregation. Well, you can have some sister or brother excessively saint or excessively learned with 2-3 doctorates. You have some sisters, they cannot read maybe. But the majority of the sisters must be between, no? A congregation is not made with doctorate, a congregation is not made with people who cannot read. So the middle class, you know, the center. The center. And that is a factor of peace and justice. Peace and justice. The majority of people don't want to become Bill Gates, no. I don't think every American wants to become Bill Gates. But every American wants to have what is necessary to eat, to ensure their children, to send their children to college and university, you know, to have a good life, not a rich life. They don't want necessarily to take a ticket to go in the space, you know, with Virgin, the project, like 25 million for the ticket, no. But to be happy, huh? Okay. Finally, finally, I can say the problem of property, in fact, is also in the gospel. You know, if you read the gospel, the problem of property is there. In the Old Testament, in the New Testament, they speak a lot about justice, Hosea, Amos, even Jesus, when they speak about the sharing with the poor, practice of justice, when the Psalms say justice and love embrace. What is that? It is property. And Saint Joseph, I'm sure, was the owner of his shop. It was the honor of his little house. It was the honor of his little garden. He was in the middle class. Jesus was in the middle class. So the ideal is to arrive and not to be too poor, not to be too rich, but to have what we need to practice a virtuous life and to go to our eternal destiny. Amen. Hallelujah. So next class we study the title now, the foundation of property.